Hello and welcome back to Pod Popper's Place and another Kendra's Card Challenge hop. This hop is for our super sponsor, Artful Angel. So Kendra's Card Challenge number 12 just recently started October 1st, and Artful Angel sent us some of their new Christmas stamps to work with. So I decided to just use some of the animals from the Christmas nativity scene and baby Jesus, and I'm using card sketch number 12 on a piece of wood. So I'm doing something quite different. I'm not making a card at all, but I am making a wood sign that will hang up. And I have cut my paper so that the trees will actually kind of stand straight up, and it will be angled the opposite of what Kendra's sketch is, but the rest of the design will be the same. So I've cut it this piece larger than is directed for the card size, of course, because this piece of wood is a little bit larger than that. And I've also cut some strips out of some metallic paper. I did use some spray adhesive to put the paper on, and I'm putting some spray adhesive on the backs of the metallic paper as well. I have to say this is probably something I would change next time because the spray adhesive works okay and it holds it in place, but once I started putting on some sealant later, there was some edges that started to pop up and I needed to re-glue those. The piece of wood I started out with had been previously painted white because I had a different plan for it, but I wanted to use it for this, so I sanded it down a bit and just got some of the thicker paint off, and it gave it some nice rough edges and made it look a little more rustic, which I really like. So I trim off the excess paper with some scissors, but to get it nice and close to the wood, I'm going to use a sanding block with some sandpaper. And the sandpaper I used was probably a little gentle. I should have got maybe a newer piece or something because it did take a little bit of work to sand this down. But you just carefully just sand it down just like you would a piece with any type of wood, and the paper definitely will just start to flake off around the edge, and it gives it a nice kind of rustic finish. So I was happy with that when I got that all done. And then I decided to use some antique linen ink to rough around the edges and just darken those up a little bit. I put it on the wood and around on the edges of the paper and just gave it more of an antique kind of finish. Because this ink is water-based, this would need to be a project that either you hung inside your home, or as you will see later, I put some clear coat spray on it so that it will help protect it if it was in a more outdoor or wet area. Artful Angel is releasing 3 new stamp sets for Christmas. One is the nativity set that I am using today, and then there's also a Santa and his toy bag and a whimsical Christmas tree that coordinates with the Santa as well. This project is really simple to do. Anyone can do it, even if you're not very familiar with working with wood crafts, and would make a great Christmas present. And even though this is not a card, I still needed to get some splatter in there, so I got out my metallic paints and put some black metallic splatter on there. And it, like as with the other ink, it is water-based, so that's why it's very important that this either be an indoor hanging project or protected with some kind of sealant. And then I also added some of this gold paint. I did need to water it down a little bit on my brush so that it would splatter, but I really like this gold paint. It's one of my favorites. If you are unfamiliar with Kendra's Card Challenge, trust me, you do not need to work with wood products. This is just something different that you can do using her card sketches. But it is a card sketch challenge, and she offers lots of opportunities to win prizes by just creating the 15 cards from the sketches that she provides. And it's really a fun challenge, and it's a great way to be creative with things that you already have in your stash. For the circle element from the sketch, I cut out the same copper piece of metallic paper that I had used for the stripes, and then I also used a band of gold in a circle form from a die that I have that cuts out a bunch of skinny little circles, and I always have those on hand so that I have them ready to go to work on a project. And then I added a little nativity star that was something I already had in my stash, and put that with the baby Jesus, so he'll be the focal point. I colored all of the characters off camera, and I used watercolor pencils. I just wanted to do something a little bit different. I think I would prefer the look of alcohol markers a little bit better, but I just wanted to try something different and give some shading in a different way. And I still like how they look. They just, it's not something I'm used to. I don't use colored pencils as often as I do the alcohol markers. I also added a Merry Christmas sentiment die that I had on hand. And now that I have my pieces in place where I wanted them to go, I'm going to just glue them all down with just my regular crafty glue. I decided to just use the animals from this nativity because I just thought it was kind of sweet. Just the animals are just looking at baby Jesus and are just kind of in awe of him and stuff. And plus the sign isn't huge, so I didn't want to use everybody from the nativity. I just wanted to kind of keep it a little bit more simple. And I also had the idea that I might give this to some children that are in my life, and maybe that they would appreciate the little animals more than the people. So as I glue this on, I want to let you know that the links to Kendra's card challenge will be down in the description box, as well as links to Artful Angel's stamp sets. And I want to point you to the next person in the hop as well, because there's only a few of us, but you'll want to see everybody's ideas and see if anybody else created something that's a little bit out of the box, like my wood sign. This step probably wasn't completely necessary. The gel pen didn't highlight as well on the colored pencils as much as it does on the alcohol ink, but I am a card maker by heart, so I tend to do the favorite things that I like to do. So after I get everything glued on here and set, I ended up spraying it with some clear sealant that will help protect it if it does end up going outside. The clear sealant is great for wood products, and it will help protect the paper even, although I would be skeptical of putting it where it would have be directly wet from rain or anything. And then I'm going to staple on just some jute cord to make a hanger for it, and I just tied knots in the ends and then used a staple gun to put those in place. And I would probably do something different, is not use the metallic paper, because it did seem to have some kind of reaction with the clear coating, and just colored it a little bit. But I kind of got a rustic kind of old-fashioned looking kind of look kind of going here, so I was like, okay, that's okay. It's not totally messed up or anything. And then the last thing I decided to do was to tie on some extra ribbon onto that hanger, just to add a little more interest. And so that is my project, and I hope you enjoyed and maybe inspired you to get out some wood and try some of Kendra's card challenges on some hanging signs instead of some cards, for just to try something different, or maybe to create some Christmas gifts for this holiday season. And please check out Artful Angel and their brand new stamp sets that are just being released for Christmas. They are super cute, and the nativity comes with every single character that you need to make a really nice big nativity, or if you wanted to keep it simple and just do the animals, that's okay too. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope that you will come again, and subscribe would be great. And please see everybody in the hop and look in the description box below for all that information. Thank you, and have such a blessed day, and have a wonderful Merry Christmas, not too far off. Oh, and be sure to sign your work. Always sign your work.